Hey guys, Thatnub here, and today we are back at Matthew's house in northeastern Oregon to see what the garden looks like this time of year. Looks like he's doing some compost tea. We'll go see what he's got going on. So let's start here with what you doing.
So we're straining the compost tea. Made a batch of compost tea and I don't filter it until I'm ready to serve it. So this is just a paint strainer that you can get at Home Depot. And I don't want to filter everything out of it, so I'm only running one bag. And then I do have another filter on my injection pump here. That thing that's clicking is an injection pump that's adjustable, and so it sucks up the compost tea and puts it out in my watering system.
That's what's going on right here.
Yeah. So, and then I've got some air bubblers because it's aerated tea. We don't want it to go anaerobic, we want it aerobic. So it's alive and beneficial bacteria. So we keep it moving around.
Oh, so you have water going through the hose into the bag, and then you're pulling or squeezing the water out of the bag, basically?
Correct.
Alright.
So,
I was wondering why the rest of the buckets were so empty.
Yeah, it's going through the hose. That bucket down there, after I get this next bucket done, I'll show you from beginning to end where it comes from. The bucket down at that end over there is a sediment bucket. It's got a little vortex action going in there, and then I can drain the mud out of the bottom of the bucket and the bigger particulates. This is mostly the stuff that's just sort of floating in the water. Probably takes me about 12 hours to make or prepare a batch of compost tea. By the time I do all the ingredients, I use fresh green herbs. I use nettles and comfrey, and I blend them up. Put about 3 gallons of each in, something like that. And it takes a long time to blend it and harvest it. So I'm moving this bag around. If I don't, it'll just fill full and won't drain. And it can break the bag. Blow a hole in it. So just kind of like you're milking a cow. As we go.
Okay, so what is this? This is cool.
Is the compost tea brewer. It's a vortex brewer. So it puts a vortex in the water. It's just like a bathtub when it drains. It's a little vortex there, and that helps to mix everything really well and keep it aerated, and it helps to energize.
So it sucks it from here, or it drops it in here?
That would be for accidents.
Overflow?
Overflow.
Got it.
So that's for overflow. And this time we didn't have any overflow. Sometimes I get a little carried away and get it a little full.
Okay, so it comes down here and then gets pumped back up?
Right. And so the pump is, 2 pumps are over there and they're air.
Okay.
So we're running probably 180 liters per minute of air. And there's just a hose with a hole in it that goes right at the bottom of that quick release valve, or the quick release coupler.
Sure.
And it carries the liquid and air up to the top, aerates it, and dumps it in. And then if you want to climb up here.
Yeah.
It's not quite full, so it has more trouble lifting so high. So normally it pumps a lot more volume. But since it's got to pump so much higher than water level, it's having a little trouble.
So could you just add more water to it, or?
No, I'm done. I'm emptying it.
Oh.
It's already brewed, and everything that I wanted to grow is grown, and I'll just keep it aerated. Now, there's something with this brewer that I've never seen anything like this, and I just put it together myself from plans that I made up.
Could you do the same thing with like a IBC tote, like a 275 gallon square 4x4?
In a way, but you're not going to be able to vortex it.
Oh yeah.
So the vortex, some people use these type of things just to vortex their fertilizers because it potentiates. It energizes when things go in a circle. I mean, a hurricane, it's actually purifying the air. People don't really think about it. So it's just like in a river. In a river, in the wild, the water never flows straight. So it curves this way, and then it vortexes back, and then it vortexes the other way. But man, he's real smart. He makes a canal, and he makes it nice and straight so it doesn't take up any extra space. And what happens? It fills with sediment, and they have to scrape it out every year. So it's just a natural energy that we can use. It's just, you know, learning to work with nature, even though this doesn't look like anything from nature, but it's still using the natural energies. And I've got a few other things on there. I've got some magnets on it. Magnets help to energize things a little bit. And these is a tachyon belt and some tachyon discs. They are antennas for subtle energies. So they help to energize things, help to just
Give life.
Yeah, give life energy to things. So
now what about light or anything? I see the lights up here, but is that good or bad for, do you want this done in dark, temperature, anything like that?
So temperature, we want it around 80, 85 degrees, something like that. So usually it's around 80s or so for me right now because of the weather. And it takes a few days, it takes almost a week for it to just naturally warm up to that temperature.
Really?
So I can only brew about once a week. And one thing that I built into this brewer is I'd seen some other brewers, and other brewers had people leave the lids off, they have holes they cut in the side, and their pipes go in and slops all over the place. And I didn't like that, so I put in these bulkhead fittings. You'd almost have to look at one, but you cut a hole in the plastic, and there's a gasket in there, and a nut on each side, and you tighten it up, and then you can thread things into it. So it seals it up. The lid seals fairly well. I had the silicone around the mount for the lid, so it wouldn't leak there, but it seals pretty well. And if it gets too full, these things sometimes tend to get really foamy, and so the foam will come off, and it can come out this other tube that goes into the overflow barrel. Now I've had, quite a few messes, and this year, after you figure out everything wrong to do, then you can kind of figure out what works and how to save yourself some time. So overflow bin or the drum works well, and
so what goes into this?
so this is this list that I got right here. So this is I put a little 5-gallon bucket heater in it to warm it up as an experiment. I'd never done that before. It took about 4 hours to get it warm. I put in 4 cups of C90, a cup of sea crop, and then I just sort of let it vortex because there's natural minerals from the ocean, and we can energize those minerals. So I'm not really growing anything, even though there's natural bacteria in there.
Sure.
And then I put 8 cups of sifted garden soil. So there's lots of fungal hyphae and things that are in our soil here because of what we've been doing. And so we get that and we want to grow those. And 4 cups of molasses. So that is what feeds these for now because there's no plants. Normally plants feed these microflora, the sweetness from the roots. So, and then these are worm castings. This is a brand, Plan B. Four Corners is another one. And I was able to collect some worm castings here from our property. And Gaia Green is a rock dust that comes from Canada. Azomite is a rock dust. It's like a volcanic ash. And all these have minerals in them, and the bacteria and the fungal forms can use them for a home. Oyster shell, it has lots of calcium minerals and fish. So it's powdered up fish, and so there's lots of phosphorus and different things in that.
Any specific type of fish, or is it like in a bag?
Yeah, it's in a bag. It comes in. I mean, this is the brand.
Cool.
I got most of this stuff at Concentrates Northwest, which is in Portland. Actually, Milwaukee, which is part of Portland. And some soft rock phosphate, and these are different bat guanos. A bunch of different bat guanos. Kelp extract, which is a liquid. I mean, it's a powder, but it's
like oil?
It's miscible in water. So it's this stuff right here. So it's just an extract. Somebody's extracted it and cooked it down or dried it out or... And some humic acid, some fulvic acid powder, some yucca extract, and half a bucket of nettles. We grow nettles here, and we grow comfrey, so I blend those up. If you want to take a quick aside, this is my blender. It's a 20 amp Blendtec blender. It's pretty powerful. But it'll still, the aluminum plate, by the time I'm done blending, it'll still get like 130 degrees, so it heats up, and I like to try and take breaks with it. So they're not cheap. And some kelp, so kelp meal. I run that through the blender too until it's in a liquid form. It's granules, and then there's about 80 minerals in kelp. Plus there's some plant hormones because kelp grows quickly and it helps the root systems of plants. And I've been getting some spent grains and some yeast from a local brewery. And so I decided to put some spent grain in it because like if we could take oatmeal and powder it up and put it in there, it would help to feed the fungal forms, and so I would get a more fungal dominated tea. So that's kind of the idea, and a lot of things we can get sort of for free. So the yeast, I didn't want to put live yeast in there. Normally people put in nutritional yeast and like that, but it's $5 a pound or more than that. And so I've been getting it from this brewery, and I put it in a big pot and take it to like 150 degrees or so and sort of cook it a little bit to kill it, and then I blend it so it'll open up all of the cells, and then it can be food for my bacteria and fungal forms in my tea that I want to grow. And also I've been getting some pigeon poo from a friend, and I just put half a bucket of that in. I chop it up, soak it, and I mix food grade hydrogen peroxide with it, and it bubbles up, and then when that's done, I think it's pretty much killed off anything in there that could be harmful. So there's lots of nutrients in that. And all sort of at a different time frame. Nothing goes in all at the same time. I don't want to put the pigeon poo in first because I don't want to really grow anything. I just sort of want that to be as a plant food kind of when we're done. So
cool. And then you take all of that at separate times to stick it in this.
yeah.
And then you let it do its thing for a weekish.
No, like no longer than 48 hours, 24 hours is good. I usually, if my time schedule works, I usually do start using it within 24 hours, and then I just leave half of it, and then for the next day, then I'll use the other half, so it'll be 48 hours.
So you use it all up. You won't have any like a starter or a base or anything like that.
No,
okay.
we want to clean everything up so we start fresh.
When you clean it, do you use anything or just rinse it out?
Just rinse it out, and I keep water in it, so I'll rinse it out and I'll open the valves and make sure there's nothing caught in there until the water comes out clean, and then I'll fill it up. And so I keep water in it. So yeah, I can disassemble it, I can take this all apart, and that works too, but sometimes I found that actually having the valves with water inside of them, I can clean it better than spraying water in there. So I'll run the valves and run the air pump, and it forces pressure, and it cleans everything up better that way.
So you fill this up like 100 gallons, or do you like half full?
I only do probably around, 95, something like that, because I've got the worm castings and all that
right.
business that I'm going to put in, and it'll fill up, and some things I put in with water, so like the nettles and and I also put some aloe vera and polycactus. So I recently learned that saponins, which are a soapy part of the plant, so there's quite a few different plants that have those saponins. Yucca extract is I don't think with the yucca extract we buy there's that many saponins in it. I went just down the road and cut some leaves and some stalks of a yucca and blended it up. There's so much fiber in it, it took me probably, I don't know, a couple hours to blend it up after I got it all cleaned up. This was really time consuming, so I decided to let me find a different way, and I have no polycactus growing in the yard, so I used that. And I went down to the Mexican market, and they have aloe vera leaves that are about yay long. And so I saved some of those because I actually use the gel in my food. It potentiates everything for humans as well, because it makes everything more absorbable. So, and it works the same for plants. So that's why we want to put these saponins in. It cuts the surface tension just like soap does, but it's a natural thing, and they have lots of benefits. So I ground those up and pitch that in there too.
So after this is all mixed up, your 24 hours, or 48 at the max, it goes to this hose.
So yeah, this is sort of a clean out emergency kind of a thing, and this was my first idea. But I found that since the air pump is here, if I tried to extract my liquid from here, I'd have air bubbles in it. So since it's a constant circulating flow, there's no air bubbles in here, so I can siphon it right out the bottom.
And that goes where?
And so it goes through this garden hose, and it goes into this bucket. In this bucket, I put an angle on there, so it sort of vortexes a little bit, and it'll sediment. And since we're not running right now, I can clean the bucket out a little bit.
And that's all the sediment at the bottom?
Right, so that's sediment at the bottom. And since we're about halfway drained out, most of the heavier particles have fallen out already, so it's not so thick.
Right.
But originally, I'll do something like this to get some glugs going, because it'll get plugged up down there. So
now what do you do with this? Do you put it back in the mix, or?
No, I just put it on plants. So it's a little muddy and dirty, but I don't put it through my watering system.
So it goes in here and then comes out here?
Comes out there.
And with that, what do you do?
So last year I was filtering this. This is filtered. I've squeezed it out. And this is the sediment that's still floated to the top. And I'll take this and I'll put it in my compost. I have a couple of compost barrels. And
So this is all, in this bag is all this stuff that didn't make it into that it didn't settle back there and made it through this whole system.
Correct.
So this bag was empty when you started.
yes.
Wait, you just throw it up here?
No, well, yeah, but I have a certain barrel I'm working on.
Oh.
So I'm just going to get this off. Pull that out. Right here under your back. We'll just dump that out.
And this is just a soil amendment for later?
Yeah, this is like old potting mix, so recycled pots. We, the soil, and we mix this in, and then, there's still lots of bacteria and fungal forms in there, and it helps to make that soil healthier. There's also other nutrients, there's the kelp and things that didn't completely break down in the mix. So we don't want to leave it too chunky. If I leave it too chunky, it doesn't really mix in the soil very well. So I kind of want to break it up a little bit. I don't want it to dry out too much, so back on for the next go around. So we take our buckets and we refill our drum, and we pour slowly because there'll be sediment down at the bottom and we don't want that to go in here. You can put that in the garden, you see that's building up. So then we leave that one. And nothing is waste, we'll use it. We're getting a little sediment in the middle. I don't want to get too much.
How often do you flush out this system right here?
So I may do it once during my application. So I'll run maybe 50 gallons through it and then I'll clean the bottom out. So I may let it run down almost all the way after I get all these buckets in. And then I'll clean it out. A simple compost tea would be some vermicompost, which is worm castings, and molasses. And just some good quality worm castings. You can buy all those things, and you can make a really good quality product with a 5-gallon bucket and a little air pump. So that's how I started. Just you got to get your head around it and figure out what you're doing and realize that it's actually worth it. We did it last year and we were amazed with the results. And I was actually, sorry about that. I was making it in this drum last year, just with a little air pump. And it seemed to do fine. It's just difficult to clean the bottom out and all that business. So it's a lot easier with a center draining tank. So we'll just put these guys together. Take care of my business here because I have to take care of it anyway, and then we'll go over our injection pump.
Now what do you do with this?
So this will go on the garden. Any plants I want to put it on, some in pots, some in garden beds, some just like I put some all along the melon tunnel, wherever.
Right.
Anything that I feel like needs a little love.
And do you rinse these out at all?
Yeah, so I'm gonna rinse them here. Have to go get my hose. So our injection pump here siphons out of this drum and goes through this hose, goes into this filter. It filters any of the bigger particles out, and also have the magnets there. They're positive, negative, so that helps to charge things up. And so this is the injection pump. The brand name is called Fertilizer, and this one is adjustable from 20 parts to 1 to like 64 parts to 1, something like that. And so the water comes in here. This valve shuts the straight through flow off, so it forces all the water through here. And as the water pumps through the diaphragms inside the pump, it runs a ram, and every time it goes, it sucks up a certain amount, whatever you want to adjust this to. And then it injects it right here into the hose, and out it goes. So, and then I've got it on some sprinklers right now. But this one here is for out back where the tomato fences are, and melons and squashes. And this is for the garden here. These are drip tape and drip hose, kind of like that. So I'll run one of those at a time. And right now I'm running everything sort of a manual timer. I just set a timer, and I was running an electronic timer, and it ended up breaking on me. So I'm in the process of upgrading. So I need to get an electronic unit for it. I have the valve, so hopefully I'll get that straightened out here soon.
So what are we doing here?
So we're going to take this hose and everything off. We're going to change modes. Right now we're feeding the air up this tube, and it's pumping the water back in around a little bit. Okay, so to switch modes, our air is still coming up through here.
Well, it looks like it stopped.
We switch this valve.
Oh,
and
right in here.
And nothing is climbing up here anymore.
Right.
And now, if we step up and look into the tank, we can see a big fountain in the middle.
Oh yeah.
They're now agitated and keep everything aerated. We could actually make 50 gallon brew without a vortex in this equipment.
That's cool.
So it gives us a multi-purpose, and plus then we can clean this guy out. So bucket up here, take off this, throw that in the bucket. Now it's all kind of full of mud up in there, so I'm going to spray some in here, and then I'll clean it out. Take my bucket off. Still a little dirty, but it won't matter. And you can see the mud right here that's caught in the cap.
Oh wow.
So now we'll pull this guy off. That's full of water. Pull a T, bring it down. actually put some more water in it. That way it won't be quite so muddy. Hang this up there for now. This is a little more messy. I'll try and go slow with this.
Oh. Sweet.
Just a brush on a stick. Set that guy down. Got the fittings on the inside of the tank. Gonna unscrew these by hand.
Now, if you drop one of those in there, how hard is it to get out?
I don't want to find out, so I haven't done that yet.
You pretty much have to take the whole thing apart. You tip it upside down.
No, I can fish it out. I can get a coat hanger or something, you know. So just two fittings, an elbow,
And that's on the inside of this pipe?
yeah, so that goes to the inside. And this little piece right here, I just took it and heated it up with the heat gun and put a couple of pieces of wood in and held it in the position I wanted. And now it goes out at an angle once it cools. So I'm gonna blast some water up inside of here. Brush. It gets a lot of dirt in the threads, and we need to keep this thing clean. So when we start a new batch, we won't have any unhealthy bacteria. And caps are just for accidents in case somebody decides they want to put the valve, which I haven't done, but not to say it couldn't happen. Just try and wash this off here.
So with all the stuff that you buy for making your compost tea, how much does that cost you, say, I don't know, a day, week, month, year, whatever you buy it at?
You know, I really haven't done the math on it. Before I started making compost tea, we would use amendments in the garden, pretty much the same types of things.
Right.
Except then I added the worm castings and things like that for the compost tea. And we could spend $500 a year, I suppose. Since it's all clean now up there. Now rinse the sides of the tanks down. Brush is helpful. Wipe off the Klingons. The bacteria puts exudates, which is like a gluey, sticky substance, and that's actually what makes healthy soil. So that's what ends up sticking to the inside of the tank, the exudates. And also tells you that you've got some things that you wanted. But it does kind of make a mess in there. And it's good to put. Okay, so I'm going to start doing my business over here again.
Oh, pouring this out into the bag and making the...
Right, garden seat.
So that filled up pretty quick with some stuff, did it? Or is that just a lot of water that hasn't poured out of it?
No, this is from the brew.
Wow.
There's not much in the bag. I mean, there's not.
Oh, okay.
Because all the heavy sediment came out to start with.
Right.
It wanted to go down. So our bag's not going to fill up. So that bucket over there isn't so important right now. When I would dispense without the bucket and only the bag would fill up before I could fill 6 buckets and I'd have to stop. So that bucket helps me get a lot of the heavy sediment out. Stuff. John Kohler recommended extreme gardening from mycorrhizae, so I ended up getting a bag of that to test it out. I'm getting low on my supply anyway, so I thought I would try it. And then there's another product that Extreme Gardening makes. I think it's called Azos, and it's a bacteria from Amazon that sequesters nitrogen from the air and puts it into the soil. So I wanted to experiment with that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll, live through the winter here, but it's always fun to try new things. It seems kind of silly, but I'd rather spend $1,000 on a garden than $1,000 on a car. But, each to our own, huh?
Well, and also, like you eat just from your garden.
Yeah, I mean, like right now, we bought some Hermiston watermelons because we don't really have any. And sometimes you just want a watermelon.
Right.
But when we have watermelons, there's no way I'm going to eat a Hermiston watermelon.
Somewhere I heard that if you try 5 new things in the garden every year, eventually you'll have enough to, all I gotta do is 5 new things a year, perfect those, do them well, and keep going, and every year just keep adding 5 more. And eventually you'll have everything you could ever want.
I agree. Every year we probably add 20 new things. Just because well, what would that taste like?
Yeah.
So we added Minituna, which is it looks a lot like plantain in a way, but it's got fingers, and it's something that lives through the winter. We're having trouble finding food to eat in the winter that we can grow outside. I mean, yeah, we've got the greens and we can grow those in the house on the table too, the microgreens.
Sure.
But it's nice to just be able to go out and harvest something versus, having to work for it every day. And that broccoli plant, that's a new one for us, and it's tasty. And then there's always new lettuces. Lettuces are just, you get a good lettuce and it's just like candy. It's so watery, and you kind of got to keep up with planting them because in summer heat it gets so hot and they'll start getting bitter. But those are, and then the cucumbers. There's just finding new ways and fun ways to eat things and use things. That's kind of, you have to think out of the box, like, oh, for 20 years we chopped up cucumbers and tomatoes and made a salad. I never do that. That's so boring anymore. Why would I do that? I mean, why not make it fun? I mean, not like that's terrible, but it may sound silly, but I'd rather eat a piece of lettuce in one hand and a cucumber in the other. And then if I'm hungry for something else, I can just grab another flavor as I go, versus this whole salad that's like, just tastes like this. So we'll just let these settle out a little bit.
And then you pour them back into there and the cycle continues.
Right. Yeah. There'll still be a bunch of mud in the bottom. The mud that's in here. I'll just put that in the in the compost barrel. A lot of people dilute it. You can dilute it. That's good too. But when I have 100 gallons to deal with, I don't really care to dilute it right now. Because we'll do another batch next week. It's all good. And we're watering here, so you might get a little wet there with your camera.
Now, out of these sprinklers is that combination of compost tea and water, right?
Yes. And I'm going to go back and clean my buckets up.
And this is
the bucket
the
lid.
first filter?
Right. It's just a vortex filter or a gravity filter. So the water comes in here, goes out there, circles around in the bucket, settles out, and then comes up through here once the bucket's completely full and goes to my strainer bag.
And you have like a hose or something that goes down into the water?
No.
Really?
No. So
so it fills all the way up.
So it fills all the way up to here, and I put this little nipple so it wouldn't fill all the way to the lid. But you wouldn't have to have that if you're letting it out the bottom. I just didn't want to deal with a full bucket and trying to get the lid off.
Right. That's pretty cool.
So I think it could be done with a 3-gallon bucket, a shorter bucket. But either way.
Well, that's all I have for this video. As always, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, check us out on the website, and we'll see you guys on the next one.